Discovering who you are today is the first step to being who you will be tomorrow. Join Deborah Powell and Barry O'Donnell on a step-by-step journey into finding your Heartlight, a podcast series of self-exploration and discovery. Are you ready to become the best version of you?
Hi, I'm Barry. I'm coming to you from Alberta, Canada, along with my partner, Deb.
Thanks so much, Barry. Welcome, everyone. I'm Deb. I'm based in Australia and certainly excited about our very first episode in our fabulous podcast series of Finding Your Heartlight. So I'm so glad that you could have joined us today. We're really looking forward to beginning this journey or continuing your journey of finding your Heartlight. So Barry, what have we got for episode 1 for everyone today?
Our very first topic that we want to talk about is language. We picked language because it's a simple place to start, but it has a huge impact on the way we think about ourselves, the way we talk to ourselves, the way we talk to others, the way we tell our stories, the way we get our message across. So if starting with language gives everybody, no matter where you are in your journey, in your personal development, in your life, where you want to be, just by changing your language, you can start changing your life.
Exactly. So when you talk about the changing of language, what types of things can we begin with to make those changes?
Well, to start with, I like looking at magical thinking. And it's magic because we can say sort of commit, but we don't commit. Like, one day I'm going to do this. Maybe I'll get around to doing that. I really should be doing this. I could do that. And it's all words that has no commitment, no timeline, no dedication, no strength to it whatsoever. It's just, yeah, soon, like that age-old thing. Let's do lunch, or I'll call you. No, you won't. But it sounds really good. So that's where I like that magical thinking words and getting rid of them.
When it comes to this style of language, is it to mainly become more aware of the use of these and to be able to modify or reframe that language?
I don't think you necessarily have to get rid of it completely, but you have to make sure you have that awareness of it and put it in the proper context. Because even when you say it to a friend, like, yeah, let's catch up, it kind of gives you permission that, well, it's just whenever I call you, it's good enough. It gives you permission to get away with, well, whenever we get to it, like we're friends, you'll forgive me if it takes me 3 months to call you and you're expecting me to call you in 2 weeks because of the language that we use. No, I said I'd call. You just never said when.
I didn't really think of it like that. Actually, that's a really good point.
That's the way of looking at it from the other side. Like, I can have, it's very non-committal language. So if there's something you don't need to commit to, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with it.
Yeah.
If you're trying to create a change in your life and have that awareness of the way you language things, and then start changing words like, yeah, one day I'm going to start exercising, or I know I should quit smoking. Okay. Are you going to? Well, no, but I know I should. Okay. Yeah. So what are you getting out of saying I should? But if you really want to quit smoking, just as an example here, I'm going to quit smoking. Set a date. It's stronger language. Now you make a promise to yourself. Now you make a commitment to yourself. You're talking to a friend. Hey, let's do lunch next week. How about I call you on Monday and we'll set up which day works best for us next week. Now I know you're going to be connecting with me next week. So there's something to it. And it requires a follow through. A simple thing like that, though, too, when you do something like that, and then you do follow through, it shows that you can keep promises to yourself, which is a backdoor approach to your self-esteem, showing that you can follow through on commitments. So even something as simple as that,
Yeah.
when you keep promises to yourself, you boost your own self-esteem, you boost your own self-confidence.
What would you suggest in a situation where someone has that full commitment? They really want to do that, and they may even begin, and then they fall off it and get the feeling that they can't, again, using that language back, I can't do this, or I failed, or I'm no good, or in how does this, how would it help, or how can we continue relanguaging, reframing to be able to continue that? Because it's not easy. It's not easy all the time to even, change our health habits, our eating styles or our fitness levels and things like that. And to really allow people to be kind to themselves, and knowing that, it's okay. It's okay to try again. It's okay to do this again, and not know that you're, a failure, because commitment is really quite a hard word, and it's really good to be committed to something because it allows us to follow through. But it's also okay, I think, to know that we can fall. And it's good to fall because it allows us to be able to get up again and try again. And so that would also need new styles of language, would it?
I think that's a really great segue. It really is the next step to get past that magical thinking, and you get into a mindset of, instead of being your own worst critic, which most of us are very guilty of, become your own cheerleader. When you look at, say you've started that exercise program and you're struggling with it, you can absolutely, if you start using language like, I'll never succeed, I don't know why I bothered to try, nobody thinks I can do this, no one else believes me, why should I do anything to prove it any differently? I know I'm going to fail. Well, if that's how you talk to yourself, you've already told yourself what you're going to do. You've changed your goal from, yeah, I'm going to get healthy, to, I know I'm going to fail. You're going to be right. So it's changing that language and recognizing, I'm not a loser. I'm not failing. I'm just being challenged, and I'm being challenged to test just how determined I am. If you're really committed to something, nothing's going to stop you. So use the language like, yeah, maybe that didn't work this time. I can get up, I can try again. And I'm going to keep trying until I get it right. And whether you believe in me or not, or you don't, that's okay. That's your choice. That's your prerogative. I believe in me.
Absolutely. And it's so valuable. I will, I can. And it's so interesting, by saying it consistently, really consistently, telling yourself things like that. It's just a graduation that our mind just changes itself and almost assumes you can do it before you even realize you can do it. It's really quite fascinating. So as you say, it is really important to say these things to ourselves.
The other thing that people are really good at, when you ask them what they want, the most common response is, well, I know I don't want this, or I don't want that. It's rarely, well, I want this.
Do you think people in a sense sometimes feel a little bit, they don't seem to have the confidence to ask or suggest what they want? That it may be easier to say what I don't want rather than what I do want. Is it perhaps the fact that it's where they may feel that they may get, well, that's a silly idea? Do you think perhaps it's that fear of judgment, of what other people think?
I think that's a really good way to put that fear of being judged. In my experience, speaking to people and coaching people, that's typically what comes across is, when you say, what do you want? And they say, well, I don't want this, I don't want that. What do you want? So often it's, I don't know. Part of that's coming from a fear of of being judged. Part of it's coming from the fact that whatever they've been going through lately has gotten to the point where they never felt like they were in control of their lives. So they just went along with whatever they got told or whatever role they had to play. They never got in the habit of expressing what it is they wanted. So nobody's a mind reader. So if I don't know what you want, I don't know what to give you. I don't know what you need. But I'm finding myself really drawn to the people that language things from, yeah, this is what I want. This is what I'm going to do. This is what I want to do with my life. I'm finding it very attractive, very confident, very inspiring to be around people, but that's the way they language things. And they don't look at a challenge as a challenge. A challenge is a way for us to confirm how much we've grown, for us to learn something new. A challenge isn't a roadblock that's going to stop you. It's just something you got to go through. It's something you got to deal with. Okay. They don't look at that as the problem. They look, okay, what's the solution here? I love being around people like that.
Yeah.
It really is inspiring. I'm going to use the word magnetizing.
With that in mind, that is along the lines of the people we surround ourselves with. It appears that it's also something to consider, to look at the associations we have with people, and is it other people, and listen to what they're, particularly friends and things like that we feel that maybe we've been drawn to in a sense, but to become aware of the way that our closer relationships may be talking or languaging things as well, and that awareness may also contribute to understanding of perhaps this is where we just talk the same language, and to be able to find those new associations that talk differently and have this stronger attitude and this more confident and this positive and these different ways of talking. Again, the more that we hear this style is almost something that we can pick up and follow as well.
It is, which is modeling somebody else, modeling
Yeah,
excellence,
absolutely.
modeling traits that you like to see in other people. So all of this does boil down to that awareness. Once you become aware of something, it's really hard to become unaware of it again.
Yes.
Like you see an image that you didn't want to see. Yeah, good luck unseeing that. It's that visual is there. It's the same thing with language. Once you become
Yes.
aware of it, you start noticing it, you start paying attention to it. Starting to use it yourself does require having that conscious effort to listen for it and to use it yourself. I would just say another part of this language, when we talk about speak from the positive, use words of commitment, I also look at eliminating or avoiding words that minimize. So many people will communicate in ways that they're afraid of actually saying what they feel. So you minimize it by saying, well, I just wanted to say this. I just wanted to add this. Okay, but if that's all you wanted to do, to me, that's minimizing it, especially if you speak about yourself.
Yeah. And if only is another one I hear as well. Oh, look, it's only going to be this, or it's only, to really, I find that's another use of a similar type of thing as well.
That one really gets me when people say, well, I was only joking. Right? That's language, but that's borderline passive aggressive language. It's you say something, and if somebody gets offended, you say, well, I was only joking. If you have to explain that it was a joke, to me, there's a certain degree of merit to it to begin with. So language has so much power.
Yeah.
Not only in the words that you use, but in the way they use the words. I'm somebody who loves listening to a really good storyteller. It's all language. but it's also in the way that they use their voice, the way that they convey their passion, the way that they can accentuate points. A really great narrator, I have no problem whatsoever listening to somebody who can tell a really good story.
Yeah.
But the way they express it and the words that are chosen, the way they say the words. So when you think about it, the power of language, and even think of the lyrics of a song. There's a lot of songs out there that you can listen to and you get into the beat or whatever else. But if you ever take the time to turn the song on, sit back and close your eyes and just listen to the words in the song, wow, there's some really powerful songs out there.
Oh, absolutely. How would you suggest someone begins this, the beginning of starting to reframe the way that they say things? Where is a good starting point with things like this?
A good starting point? Take the word but and make sure you never use it in the same sentence where there's something positive about you. You can think of relationships. I love you, but I think I'd love you a little bit more if you had a different hair color. I love you, but you need to do this for me. Anytime you use the word but, whatever got said ahead of it gets negated. I don't want to do this, but I will do that. I can live with it in that context. So many people,
Well, even that aside, Barry, it can still be used. I don't want to do that. I'd prefer to do this. Perhaps is even taking that a little bit more. If we're talking about removing the but, which a lot of us may want to reduce the buts, but
I like
but
the way you said that. I don't want to do this. I would prefer to do this. I love that.
Yeah.
Because now it's bringing you into it. I would prefer this. You're not enforcing, you're suggesting.
Yeah.
Great way to do it with being open to options still.
Becoming aware of those words that minimize, they make us small. Really take a look at our language and to pick those words and put them into a sentence if we like, and then how do we reframe that? What would be a better way of saying this?
A lot of time, the word no has a lot of power. It's one of those words that I find so often if somebody says no, they feel they need to justify why they said no. Versus I say no. If your answer is no, you can just say no. I don't need to know a reason. If you choose to, that is your choice. But put it in language from your perspective. I hear a lot of conversations of, no, I don't want to do that because I'm not going to do it the way you want me to. So you're just going to get mad at me anyway.
There's also the situations though where to go shopping, it doesn't really matter what it is. The no, I've already made plans, or no, I don't feel like doing that. That's not a justification, but I sometimes look at that type of thing as almost a courtesy. So it's like, no, thanks so much. No, this is what I'm doing.
Is when you look at language on a whole and you look at having a conscious awareness to start speaking from the positive, just means use language that conveys what you want, not what you don't want. Use language that is a commitment that you can easily fulfill. It's a way of keeping little promises to yourself. Get rid of labels, because that's language. But we label so many things, and we get labeled. You're a mother, you're a daughter, you're the caretaker, you're a nurse. So we identify ourselves. Labels are just stuff that we do, or however you want to define label in your world. So if I was going to try to express or simplify or focus on how do you use language to help you find your heart light, because that's what the series is all about. So it's those steps.
Mm.
Focus on the positive, speak to what you want, use language with commitment, talk to yourself as your own best cheerleader.
Absolutely.
We all need to be able to look in that mirror
Mm.
and say, I love what I see in the mirror. But when you really love what you see, you're seeing your heart. That's the goal. That's the magic. When
Absolutely.
you see your heart and you know that you have such good intentions and you
Mm.
know that you're a good person. And the other person, if you can't see it for yourself, how do you expect anybody else to see it?
So true.
And that's that line that most people don't have that association with. Like, why can't they see what a good person I am? That language, when you start talking to yourself from the positive and start looking for the good in you, there's some magic that happens that you start to be able to see it in other people as well. And those people start to see it in you.
So where it comes to language, as our first episode, it really all does start with us. Language begins within, and the way that we talk to ourselves, and as you say, then it feeds out into others, and the way that we want people to talk to us, but it starts within.
That everything about finding your heart light, because that is within us. And this whole series get all of us to find our heart light again. Even if you look at yourself right now and say, yes, I do love what I see. Even if that's where you are today, our intention is by the end of this podcast series, you take that to a deeper level, that you have a deeper connection with yourself, that you have a deeper reconnection with yourself, that your capacity for love and giving and enjoying life and living life on your terms exceeds where you are today.
The journey, we're really looking forward to everyone traveling with us on to really find that heart light and becoming aware of the language that we use and modifying, reframing it. And how can I say this differently so that I feel different and I feel better and I feel good about me, because that person in the mirror, she's a great person. He's a great person. We are great people. We just need to become aware and recognize those things. So, no, it's a great place to start, Barry.
I think it is such a great starting point. It's a lesson I had to learn, and it took me a long time to learn it. So if we can share this lesson with you and you learn it today, it doesn't mean your life is going to change today. This is going to start to change today if you commit to it. So we have to realize we've had our whole lives following the same patterns and strategies and mindset and attitude and talking to ourselves in a certain way. It's not going to happen overnight that we just turn on a switch or I wave my magic wand and now you're talking to yourself differently. It's going to take a little bit of effort, but it really does only take a little bit of effort, because once we plant that seed, as we said before, good luck unseeing it. Because we want you to start living your best life. We want you to have all your dreams come true. We want you to achieve every goal you've got in life. That's all positive language. Now, after having this conversation on our Finding Your Heartlight series, and to bring it to a close, to share with me what you got out of today and what you're going to do differently going forward, and see if that resonates with our listeners and if they're on the same page or if they're taking the same message away.
It's a great question, Barry. I love today, and I do love language. So one of the first things that I'm taking away from today that I'm going to implement immediately is awareness. And the reason it's awareness is that sometimes the little trigger words or the words that we can say that have been habitually embedded into us, such as the "oh, I can't" or everything is going wrong. It always happens to me. Those specific things, those words that do not empower us, that's where I want awareness to come in. Immediately, it may be difficult to start some of those words that just feed through us from the habit that we've lived with all our lives. So through awareness, even if it comes out of my mouth, the awareness is, oh, I said it, and reframe it at that point. And one of the things that we had chatted about, and I think by really championing ourselves and recognizing that person in the mirror, it may be hard at first. Again, I think the more that we do that, and I know, and again, see, I've just reframed what I said, the I think to I know. And that feels so much stronger to me, to be able to go, I know I can do this. So that's my biggest takeaway, to the awareness, to reframe what I've said as soon as something comes out of my mouth that's like, I did it again, to reframe that. And after I've done that, to turn around and go, well done, to really recognize and validate myself for seeing these changes that I'm making. And then all of a sudden I can feel how good that feels, and I'm already feeling better by changing a simple word, recognizing it, being aware of it, focusing on the way that I treat myself, the way that I talk to myself. So, wow, I could go on with lots of language, but I better leave it at there. And I think it's because that was so powerful to me. That was the simplest things can make the biggest changes. And it means awareness, consistency, and belief in ourselves. So I love that, Barry. Very good. Wonderful.
I think that is absolutely awesome takeaways you had, Deb. And I'm going to highlight the fact that watching you speak and listening to you speak, I could just hear the level of enthusiasm and passion changing you, which is, I rest my case, the power of language and what it does for us. So we're going to leave this there. We're going to challenge you all to focus on that awareness, to pay attention to your language and work on changing the language you have and become your own best cheerleader.
Absolutely.
So until next week, keep shining, keep being you, keep reaching for the stars, and we'll see you soon. Bye for now.
Absolutely. We'll see you next week. Thanks so much, everyone, for joining us. If you'd like to join our Facebook group, we will be sharing a link below because we'd love to see you in that as well. So we'll see you next week. And as Barry said, keep shining. Bye for now.